So, okay, let's say the marital breakdown's happened, a divorce is happening. Should they get divorced? Well, let's take a little look at this, okay? Divorce is the legal ending of a marriage, and couples often seek divorces when there's when there's been adultery, unreasonable behaviour, or 2 years of separation or desertion. So that means that the mother or father might have left them after 2 years. They're officially divorced. Catholic view, or the absolutist view as well, would see the marriage as a sacrament, something created by God, and therefore divorce is always wrong. What God has joined together, let no man separate, is a quote from the Bible, from Mark. So what God has joined together, let no man separate. That ring representing eternity seems to be very important. Also, there is some views that remarriage is wrong, as they believe it's like adultery. This is because they believe that a civil divorce cannot end a marriage, and in the eyes of God, the couple is still married. That's why Jesus states, anyone who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery, and that's in Mark 10:11. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery, and therefore that goes against the 10 Commandments. The Catholic Church, however, does allow marriage to end through an annulment. So the classic example is Henry VIII's attempted an annulment. If he tried to suggest that the marriage was never really happened, it never really occurred, is something that the Catholic Church sometimes accepts. So let's say there was a forced marriage, or let's say the couple never actually had a sexual relation. These would be examples when you're saying, well, has the marriage really happened? No, because God would not have blessed a forced marriage. As a result, we'll count this as an annulment. We'll act as if it's never happened before. So they would accept remarriage in that circumstance because of the annulment that's occurred there, the idea of that being an annulment. Other Christians, however, so let's say I looked at the Protestant view. Other Christians, like the Church of England, believe that marriage should usually be for life and should be seen as a last resort. So divorce should be seen as a last resort. But there are certain associations with this, so it's like a lesser of two evils. Love your neighbour, love is patient, love is kind. The kindest, most loving thing to do might be to allow that divorce to happen so that those people don't have to go through the pain of being committed to someone that you aren't actually able to commit to. For example, if one partner has committed adultery, then the other person has the right, or if one person is a victim of desertion or domestic violence, then the other person should have the right to divorce them. It's a fair thing to do, and they should be able to get remarried. The less strict view, the particularly relativist view, is that of the Methodists, which they tend to say that people can remarry after they've divorced because people are human, they make mistakes, they marry, doesn't quite work out. Fair enough, we're humans, okay? Don't take the mick, mate. But at the end of the day, if you are, if you've gotten married and you haven't gotten on and it hasn't worked, fair enough, you're a human being. That kind of idea is what the Methodist would view as. So again, it's the idea of it being the most loving thing to do, understanding people are human, being relativist in that perspective of that issue. Christians should reflect also on forgiveness. The idea is that, Jesus was very much about forgiveness. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. That part of the Lord's Prayer is so essential to understand that someone should have another chance to get married again. Okay, Miss Banbury's put up in a really important point for you to consider here. In the exam, you'll need to be able to explain why divorce might be the lesser of two evils in these circumstances. So think of the effects it might have on the innocent partner, family, or any existing children if the couples were to stay married. So they might ask you to answer a 6-mark question explaining why it is the lesser of two evils. 3 easy paragraphs: abuse, people make mistakes, and also the idea of it being potentially the idea of gosh, how embarrassing. This is going to be on YouTube as well now. I've just made that mistake. So. Abuse, shouldn't laugh. Abuse, the idea that people make mistakes, so that people should be forgiven, and then also the idea of it being a situation of desertion as well. So abuse, people make mistakes, desertion. So that means if the person's abused, understanding that people just make mistakes, forgiveness, and 3, the idea that if the father is left or the mother is left, then they aren't really married anymore, are they? And it'd be unfair to make that person have to commit to someone who's not even around. Okay.